temple or going to whatever, whatever. I remember I was born Christian, so I know how it works. A lot of people, they go for social reasons. They don't want to be shut out of their families, which didn't quite happen with me when I became an atheist, but I was definitely put on the back burner, so to speak. But my family treats me well. They're still Pentecostal. We disagree, and we just learn to not talk about certain things, and every now and then a big argument erupts, but then we move on. But yeah, you're right, Darren. I do believe that some people, they suspect that there is no afterlife and there aren't any gods, but they're afraid to face from my perspective as an atheist, the reality there aren't any gods or afterlife, and it's too hard for them to deal with, so they kind of just believe anyway. And of course, the societal part of it is they don't want to be shut out of their families. They don't want to be shut out of jobs, because I've known atheists who've lost their jobs because of it.
And then you could take it one step further,
you're onto something, Darren.
And other people are terrified of going to hell.
Okay, we got a question.
Like eternity.
We got a question for you, Darren, from the chat room. What is your opinion on Scientology?
I don't like Scientology, really. I had some cousins that were in it. There's parts of it I kind of like.
Okay.
I like the fact that
keyword for drinking is what tonight also.
This afternoon?
You have to name that as well as your answer for the question.
Why don't we do religion?
I think that's a good one.
Anytime we're talking about religion the whole time. Okay, as
if
soon
you
as
had to pick a favorite religion,
whenever
religion
we say
would
religion,
you pick, Joseph?
Oh my God!
If you had to have one, what would be your favorite?
Darren, before I answer that, can I ask you why that you specifically don't like Scientology? If you don't feel comfortable talking about it, I understand. I'm just curious why specifically Scientology.
I have something to say.
I saw that documentary about Scientology where they record everybody and then they kind of use it against them. I don't know if that's true, but that's the part I didn't like. I do like the part where they can take a beating and not let it affect them, You
know what's weird?
You can only control yourself. I like that part.
What's weird is that Stabby seems to be...
Hold on, I have to go outside real quick, guys. I have to go outside.
Okay, and it's break time. It's break time anyway, man. It is break time.
I'm outside. Go ahead. Sorry.
It is break time anyways. It is break time. So, anyway, I find it really strange that Stabby's reading my mind, because I was going to put a reggae song on, and he made a comment with a Jamaican accent in the chat room. That's just crazy. And this is the second time it's happened tonight, and it seems like he's reading my mind. I don't get it. How's he doing that? Barrington Levy. Hypocrites, baby.
a talent. I got my talent. I've got to show them what it is all about. I've got to say, Rastafari. All I can see, so many hypocrites. See them, man and man just fighting against their brothers. And if I don't make sure that I'm around the right side, I have to beg Jah for forgiveness. If I cook dumpling, John Tom gone tell this be. They always think of me and I don't see them. But one thing more I've got to control. Excuse me while I smoke my spliff. So you see you got a little time to sniff. All I have got is good sensey love to give you, baby. It's just that all I see. I know who else was and me. So many watchy and peeping at me. All I have seen, so many hypocrites is him. Everyone should show the way. No man should never watch my business. You shouldn't do the things to me to see, yeah. I know I'm meant to understand her.
Yeah, oh man, far out. Okay, what's really far out is that okay, I was looking at the songs by Barrington Levy. I saw one called Sensimilia, and I was thinking, oh right, yeah, spark it up, man. And that was the thought in my head. Just when I had that thought in my head, in the chat room, Stabby McHugs writes the exact words in the chat room that I was thinking. I'm not even kidding. I'm going back on something about sparking it up.
Can I say something?
That's weird. I just found that really, really weird. And yeah, there was another word before that. Yeah, I know what's going on here, man. Yeah, here it is. Spark it up, man. Like, with an extended man, like a Jamaican accent, possibly. Like, just exactly what I was thinking. And then he wow. I'm not making this up, guys. That's freaking me out. I wouldn't even said anything about sparking
I believe you.
Oh my lord!
That's just too much synchronicity there, man. That's freaky.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
To the your atheist guest, brother.
Yes.
You know, if I did not know my God as I do, and I didn't know a thing, and I would turn the TV on. Now let me finish and don't interrupt. And see the craziness on TV and begging for money and all these, and they all have 8 mansions. And I hear about Jim Jones back in the old day, kill 1,000 people drinking cyanide, and I see the, you know what I mean, Muslims doing what they do, and I see, I wouldn't want to believe in God either, so I understand.
No, that's not why, though.
Coming from. Well, I'm just saying that's where I'm coming from. I see all the craziness. There's like 30. There's like 1,000 denominations, and they all fight against one another and believe different. I've been to a Pentecostal church where the whole preaching been on putting down the Baptist.
Do they ever have fist fights, Kurt? You ever seen a fist fight?
In the old days, my grandma said, in the old days, the Baptists and the Methodists would go out in the barn and argue, and they'd get angry and leave angry.
Did they ever beat each other up?
No.
Shut
up. Probably. Well, it eventually got. What was that? Zombie Land. Remember Zombie Land, where it got so bad that's what happened. It may get that way. I don't know, but if I didn't know God and I saw what I see on TV and 30 denominations and people killing people, hitting people over the head, you got to go up to the front of the church and get hit over the head and then they use rattlesnakes in some churches.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Curtis, because part of my lecture I do at that university.
I don't want to know.
It's called behavior. I call it behavioral atheism. What I mean by that is what you just said, Curtis, and that's a good example. Some people say they're atheists when they experience bad things in their lives. They lose loved ones or something really bad. They lose a job after they prayed and God
they get hit in the head.
And then they get mad. And I'm not going to go to church, and I'm telling you from experience, from people that I talk with, and they say, I'm an atheist. I stopped going to church, but that's not atheism. That's because it's understandable that some people get upset and then they question their faith. That's just questioning your faith, or you're mad at what you perceive as a God. In my case, for me personally, Curtis specifically, since you asked this, for me, okay, it took me years before I became a full-fledged atheist. I would say that what germinated was education. When I went to University of Nebraska in Lincoln, here in Lincoln, Nebraska, I went to school for the fine arts, which means humanities. Humanities equals science. I studied astrology, or I keep saying that. I studied astronomy, anthropology, sociology, biology, and some other sciences. That germinated, but I didn't become an atheist until I was in my 30s. So for me, it's just logical. For me personally, everyone's different, but for me personally, it is not behavioral atheism. It's not because I experienced something bad or because I see people, what they do in churches, they're hypocritical, and, they're being hypocrites, I'm going to become an atheist. I think that's a bad reason to become an atheist, but, everyone, each their own. It's just, for me personally,
it's
not logical. It's not logical that some being, and there are literally thousands of religions on the earth. You guys can't all be right. So how is it that one believes that the creation from the Bible, the book of Genesis, and then all these other religions, they have their tales of how the earth came about and the universe. So, they can't all be right at the same time, right? That's just not logical. So everyone's got their thing. I'm not criticizing people who do have faith or religion, whatever. I just don't want them to try to legislate their religion on me. That's all I ask. And it is, from the United States anyway. It is constitutional, separation of church and state. That's not to you guys, and hint, to those in the office now. But that's where I'm coming from, Curtis. And I was raised
I understand completely. So I do understand.
So it's not that sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Curtis. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I noticed that you said if I didn't know God either, that you would. Well, I was raised Pentecostal. I was very much a believer. I used to fast on my own. I fasted 3 days once with, no water or anything like that. I went to church. I became a deacon in my father's church, and I would go out and witness to people and all this other stuff. But some people
that might have been part of it.
Do you miss it at all?
What's that?
Do you miss having faith? Was it more fun believing, or is it more fun not believing?
Well,
what kind of question is that?
I get what you're saying, Darren.
That's a good one.
For me, it's not really a fun about either way, to be honest with you. I feel more free now as a human being. As the way I've heard it described before, it's almost as if you walk into the store and there's no one minding the store. You're not looking over your shoulder anymore. I'm not worried about what some God might think might strike me with the lightning or something because I say shit.
Right.
And I'm going to hell because I say shit.
Oh no.
And what about people who murdered people?
Talking on a Sunday afternoon
I'm
about...
classified with people to go to hell because I say shit. I'm using that as one example.
I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to say that.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. Each their own.
You can't say that on Sunday afternoon.
Just a couple more questions, and then you can tell your story. Are you ever amazed that we exist at all? I mean, just with the complexities of this world.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Like winning, I think Stabby says, like winning the cosmic lottery, that we're here, alive.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it is pretty amazing. Like life happens. I mean, just because we don't know, it doesn't. And I said this before last time I was on the air and with you guys. And I'm not going to try to repeat too much of myself, but it's kind of like I use the example just because we. Sorry, somebody with a car. I'm outside right now. Just because we don't understand at the moment doesn't mean there's no logical explanation. Back in the time of Leonardo da Vinci, he had the concept of the fourth sight of flight. Wasn't quite right in his designs, but he had the basic idea. It took, of course, hundreds of years before we learned to fly, with the Wright brothers. And now we're talking about flying in space, okay? Well, it took hundreds of years, but we didn't know at the time. We don't know now, and the best that scientists can figure from the Big Bang, and they're able to use scientific methods, and it's basically based on Doppler shift, red shift and blue shift. Red shift, the stars and everything is moving away from you. Blue shift, things are moving close to you. And everything is red shift. That's how they can tell that the universe is expanding. That's how astronomers are able to do that. Because that means stars and the galaxies and other astronomical bodies are shifting, or not shifting, but they're moving away from each other. But again, not to get too much into the weeds of science, but that's, I am amazed that we're here, but that doesn't therefore mean, it must be a God that created it.
Right.
I don't know how it happened, but
just a lot of time and a lot of...
To me, it'd be more remarkable that there was some being that was just hanging around in, well, we can't say the universe, because if he created the universe, then what the hell was around? And all of a sudden, he and it's usually he just decides to create the universe out of nowhere, and now we're here, and to what purpose? And to me, that's just not congruent.
No, I hear you.
Are you all right, man? Joe, are you all right? Joe Seth?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
We're not pissing you off, are we?
Could you say it again, please?
We're not pissing you off, are we?
Oh no! I'm just when it comes down to the
because
subject. See, last time,
I know we're coming at you with all kinds of.
We didn't talk about religion quite as much. I'm just very passionate about the issue of religion and atheism. That's all.
It's got to be hard. No, it's true. It's got to be hard being an atheist like that. I think it's got to be hard because it's such an opposing view to everyone else's that. It's got to be difficult to withhold that and stand your ground. It's very different. Like for us to that, like me, I have spiritual beliefs. I believe in Mother Gaia. I believe the sun is sentient. I believe the earth is sentient. I think there's some kind of cosmic consciousness. I don't call it God or anything like that, but I do believe in something. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to just not. Do you think when you die that you're done and you just fizzle out and that's it? And my brother is the same way as you. He's an atheist as well. I find it very difficult. The same way
as you, that's not atheism, though. Because what you're describing, Michael, Mike, is I'm laughing because we talked about how to call you during the break. Because that's more of deist, and deist is another form of deism, like deity. So it's deism. It basically is a vague notion or a vague belief of some god or gods that created the universe, but yet that said deity does not interject itself into our everyday lives, like what we're used to in Christianity. And like this deity or deities created the universe, and they just kind of step back a little bit, and you're kind of more spiritual. So that's kind of more of a deist. A lot of people I hear who say that they're atheists, they talk like that, and they confuse atheism with that. And that is not atheism. That is more of deism. And if people don't like the label of deism, then maybe you could say, I'm not even sure if agnostic is even the right word, because agnosticism is just simply, you just can't know. The literal translation is not being able to know. A lot of people use the label agnosticism or agnostic wrongly.
How do you explain
sitting on the fence?
Okay, how do you explain these people in hospitals that are clinically dead, and they've done experiments where they put pictures up in the ceiling or in the rooftop or something, and they go up there with their out of body experience when they're dead, and look at that picture and then come back with to life and then explain what the picture is, and there's no way that they could have known that.
Well, my response to that is, first and foremost, I always would have to read or see the case itself. So until I see or research it myself, so that's just kind of a given right there. Secondly, well, it's possible you kind of the first words out of your mouth was clinically. It's possible that they were never actually dead and their eyes were just partially open, and there is a subconscious. It's possible they saw that item on the ceiling, and when they woke up, the brain brought it back up to their memory. So again, logical. It's just if we dig a little deeper, do a little bit more critical thinking.
To me, logic. Like the logical thinking to me.
Hello, can I say something?
Hang on, one more thing from me.
Okay.
One more thing from me. Our sun is flying through the galaxy and the universe, flying through, and how do you explain that we don't run into things like? Don't you think that sun is kind of guiding us in a way that we don't run into shit? Flying through space like that?
I don't think it's guiding us. It's just, I mean, there's a reason why I'm not trying to be funny here, seriously, Michael. There's a reason why they call it space, because like Alpha, the Andromeda system, the closest, major galaxy, there are like minor galaxies too close to us, but the Andromeda is the largest. It's something like 2.5 million miles, light years, 2.5 million light years from our galaxy. Light years. Light travels something like 100.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of particles. There's all kinds of microparticles and micrometeors and stuff like that, and gases and all kinds of things we can encounter in space that's in between stuff.
But I was going to say that part too, Michael. Actually, we do run into things. That's why the dinosaurs aren't here.
Okay.
Approximately 66 million years ago, it does happen. Well, where's the protection there?
I guess you're right on that one. Okay. So, I believe we got Dave Cruz.
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm just saying, if we take the time,
Mike,
kind of
right on, brother.
Okay, Curtis wanted to say something. I believe if that's okay.
Michael. Go ahead. I don't have nothing to say.
No, really. I'd like to hear what you wanted to say.
So much now. Where do I start?
From the beginning.
One thing I'll say that when you were talking about the people in the hospital and they see in the roof and the pictures or whatever, my brother one day out here, right in the same house, he choked me. We were horseplay, and he choked me so bad that I went under and I saw a light, not a bright light, just a light, and all about 20 or 30 people in my family praying. They were all praying different prayers, but I saw them. I was dead, and they prayed me back, and that's forever. I think about that every day, by the way, so I know I was right there on the verge of death. Scotty, he's dead now. He killed himself, but he did that to me.
Sorry.
Now I get to tell you, but that was true, and that let me know. And I knew them in that the atmosphere, and I can't just tell you when you think about it where you're sitting. The atmosphere, the moment, the day, the year, him looking at me, him choking me, going under, seeing all your greats and knowing them instinctively, like the love for your mother, and knowing it. And then they pray, all of them praying, and they prayed me back, and I came back, cried, I ran into the phone, Oh, Scotty, and I ran and called my Mammy Thelma, called my grandma. Scotty just almost killed me. I saw my grandparents. I remember all that day so vivid. But that happened. That let me know, amongst other things, why are snowflakes perfect shapes? Why?
Well, that's
just
to do
the
with the way
fluke
things
of nature,
radiate out.
just a fluke.
In vacuum,
fluke of
they
nature.
tested that in the International Space
please.
Station.
Everybody
That's
Googles
just things
snowflakes.
radiate without gravity. So it tends
You
to.
tell me
and,
there's not a God or a being or somebody in control that make you Google snowflake. Every one is different. All the snow, all over the earth, different. And I'll be quiet now.
No, you're fine. You don't have to be quiet.
I bet all the grains of sand are different too.
Go ahead, Darren. You please go ahead.
Actually, no. Dave's here with a question from Beyond the Strange.
Oh, okay.
Dave?
Hey, Mike.
How you doing, brother?
Thanks for having me on.
Oh,
Good.
awesome to have you. We're privileged.
Very interesting. I feel privileged.
No.
Hey, hi, Kurt. Hey, Darren.
Hey,
I'm sorry. Guys. I just tuned in. I didn't get your name.
It's Joseph.
Oh, Joseph.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
It looks like Joseph, but it has a TH instead of a PH. So Joseph.
Joseph.
Joseph. That's a cool name.
Thank you.
So, are we talking about like after death?
Yeah.
Philosophies or just beliefs or?
Yeah, we're talking about
basically
beliefs.
anything.
Beliefs.
He is an
God.
atheist, and I'm trying to present evidence of the otherwise.
How would
Right.
you?
Well, I mean, look at the paranormal. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions about all the weird things that are happening in this world as we speak. I mean, it's to me that tells me a lot. I mean, I grew up in a religious background, and I'm pretty much a reformed. Apostolic Assembly of God, whatever you want to call it, but that doesn't mean I
I've
don't
heard of it.
believe
We got
in
quite a few in
something.
there in Lincoln, Nebraska. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
No, and I'm just saying that I think it's important that we all have something to believe in. I mean, some people do choose to believe in themselves, and they believe that they can manifest, God within themselves.
Well, when you say believe in something, do you mean like as in, like, I believe you can do whatever you want to do, you can go to school, you can achieve to be a doctor, and that kind of belief, or do you mean like you have to believe in something in the supernatural? I'm not sure in what context you mean by that.
I think for every individual it's different, and it's up to them.
Well,
I don't know if that. I don't know if that helps.
I don't believe. I just. I'm guessing you mean the context of supernatural is my guess.
Okay, can you?
Now, if you want to say that you like my daughters, like I believe in my daughters that they can achieve what they want to. Those vague aphorisms that we tend to say, which I do, which is true. I do believe in. I believe in my wife that she's very intelligent. I believe in people like that, but like a supernatural belief, I don't. And I'm not going to just it's because it just doesn't make any sense. I've been there. It's not like I was raised atheist and I never experienced religion. Everyone, I was raised Pentecostal, and plus I visited other denominations within Christianity. Even when I was in New York City with my family, we in Harlem we visited a Baptist church out there, and here in Lincoln, Nebraska, visited St. Mary's in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska, Catholic. And other Pentecost. So it's not like I haven't had any exposure to it.
Okay, I want to know. What I want to know, Joseph, can you hear me? What I want to know is if you've had any paranormal experiences, like out of body experiences, like a near death experience, like Kurt's, or anything like that, where.
I have not. Absolutely,
okay.
I have not. But
Have you
the
been
closest thing, you and I talked about that last time, was my brother and I were really young, like about 10.
You've never read someone else's thoughts?
Dragging their feet.
What about when reading someone's thoughts? Something simple like just you two people saying the same word at the same time, and you wonder how the hell does that happen?
That's just coincidence.
I don't think so. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Especially when if you apply it to a specific situation, like let's say my wife and I were talking about a movie, and we happen to say Vin Diesel at the same time. Well,
okay, that's different.
I'm just using
that's
way
Jesus, right there.
Yeah, but if that's way okay. I'm talking about like what happened to me and Stabby in the chat room on this show now. That's way off topic. Has nothing to do with anything we were talking about. And
I think it's just
what I was thinking. He wrote it at the same time I was thinking it.
I just honestly think it's just a coincidence.
That can't be a coincidence. The chances of that are 1,000,000 billion to 1.
All right. What about
Does he ever wake up and there's a digital clock like 111 or 222 or 333?
Yeah.
Do you ever wake up and your clock like that?
1122. Yeah.
I've also waken up,
444.
Curtis.
Good
when it
good
says
question,
2
Kurt.
o'clock. I've woken
That's
up
God.
when it says
That is your Father talking to you.
I've seen clocks say different things. I've heard it. I know what you're talking about, guys. I'm not making fun of you. I've heard about the 111, or excuse me, the 11:11.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's God talking to him.
Well, you shouldn't wake up at 3:33 and look at something's.
I was just,
deeper there.
Necessarily mean
deeper
God.
Something going on. Deeper.
I think Stabby has magic
now, Darren,
powers.
were you trying to say something, Darren, or?
What's that?
I thought I heard Darren. I thought I heard you trying to say something. Maybe.
I think Dave.
I kind of want to hear. Where we could go in the future if we could just shed our religious beliefs. What you think we could do? What would the world be like?
I do think we would be more advanced, scientifically speaking. And I already used the real life example of stem cell research, because a lot of times religion is, I personally think, religion/faith, I think a lot of times it's an Achilles heel of humanity that we could have advanced more. Some people were opposed to, of course, like I said, stem cell research, and some people are opposed to other, blood transfusions for certain religions. But everyone has their right to believe. But I think we'd be more scientifically advanced. I think racism would not be so prevalent. It would still be around, but not as much. Because if you're open to scientific process and scientific method and seeing how things really are, it tends to make you more open-minded. And I personally think we would be more advanced. But I suppose one can also look at other societies that are more secular. That's to say, have less religion in it, and in real life, and compare it to more religious countries or states in the United States. You can or provinces in your guys' Providence. Sorry, Providence. What do you guys call it in Canada? Is it Providence?
Oh yeah, provinces. Yeah, we're up for a break here, man.
Excuse me, sorry.
We're up for a break, guys. And all right,
Sign you out.
it's break time. We're gonna take a little break for everybody right now. All right.
Wolfman, you literally had ghosts calling on a ghost box, but you're going to lose a lot of credibility. Lake Monster gobble you up in one fucking bite. I'm calling you out, my friend. You were scared of the girl from Texas. Well, I sure wouldn't be sitting there admiring the rippling, glistening fucking muscles of the fucking marsupial. She was hairier than this ass fudge.
Oh my goodness!
Who in the world are you? Hollering like that. Angry as blood. Do your neighbors hear you? You must live in the forest for you to yell that loud. The Monster Castle. Paranormal Radio.
Witnesses have described it as not quite right.
Right, the Wolfpack.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah.
I'm only
Oh, come on.
The head as a deacon, didn't you? You did too. We're going to go there. That's all I'll say thus far.
How about
We'll get
how
there
about?
later.
I think that's a good one,
Don't
Curtis.
answer.
If
Don't
that's
answer
okay
now.
with Michael.
We'll
maybe we should wait until we're back on the air. How about?
No,
I do
we're
like
back.
that question.
We are back on the air
Oh,
no.
because it's just too good.
shalom,
It's
salam.
just too good. I put it back on.
My goodness. Brother, Joe, right? Joe.
Yeah, Joseph, but you can call me Joe if you
Oh,
want.
Joseph. Yeah. So our little Baptist church potluck on Sunday, fried chicken, 3 different kinds, and egg salad sandwich, whatever they had, all the good stuff. Chicken and dumplings, good time. Bringing in the sheaves, I used to think they were saying bringing in the sheets, like bringing in the towels, bringing in the... But
pretty much.
But anyway, so our
It's shepherding. That's what that was a reference to.
great little old church been going on for 50 years. And then that TV preaching got going on, that Paul and Jan, and they started clapping and hitting people over the head and
Bonking people.
talking in tongues, blah, 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 blah. And that movement hit our church, our little old church, and it's like a cancer. It crept in to our church, and it just really, and our church went vacant.
They bonked people.
5. And now,
They bonked people in the head.
now those big Pentecost, they're like big warehouse churches.
We'll be back in a second.
We destroy the government. We're destroying time. No more problems on the way. I'm through, doctor. We don't need your kind. The other ones, ugly ones, stupid boys, wrong ones. I'm all alone, so are we all. We're all clones, all the one and we're all the one and we're all. 6 is having problems, adjusting to its clone status. All day long we hear him crying so loud. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. I just wanna be myself. Be myself. Be myself. I'm all alone, so are we all. We destroy the government. Destroy time. No more problems on the way. I'm through, doctor. We don't need your kind. The other ones, ugly ones, stupid boys, wrong ones. I'm all alone, so are we all. We're all clones, all are one and one are all are one and one are all. I'm all alone, so are we all. We're all clones, all are one and one are all are one and one are all.
I'm gonna keep on barking.
What happened?
Are we back live?
Yeah, what? We are.
How do you? Hey,
Are we
how
back
you doing?
on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my point was
Hey.
him being Pentecostal
Hello.
and used to be
Go ahead,
Pentecostal.
Curtis. It was a
And had-
great question you had.
Oh, and he had to
Let's let him answer.
Well, I didn't ask a question yet. I was just going to say real quick, a wrap-up. But then I'll ask, did you have to, did you have to hit people over the head and slay them and make them shake on the ground? As a deacon?
No. No.
No. Well,
okay.
Did that happen? No, other people did, right?
Oh, okay. No, I didn't do that. Because I mentioned earlier I was a deacon at my father's Pentecostal church. Okay. Back in around it's 1904, 1909 or something, I forgot exactly. The House of Azusa and Los Angeles, there's a movement, what we call the charismatic movement. That's the kind of the umbrella movement. From that, you get the Pentecostals, Assemblies of God, I believe, and other similar fundamental Christians of the charismatic nature. Some of them kind of dip into a little bit of the mysticism. Now, with my dad's church, because my parents came from Birmingham, Alabama, and they moved up here to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I was born here a year later. I've noticed, and what you're making reference to, Curtis, and some people may not know because a lot of people don't visit black churches who are not from that community. A lot of people, and maybe if you channel surf, you'll see this, or perhaps maybe you did visit a black church, and some white churches too, by the way, that are Pentecostal or other fundamentals. You hear them, as you're saying, Curtis, babble, like hallelujah, about hashababa, they're making some phonetic noises that sounds like language. Now, that's from the book of Acts. I'm going to go on the Bible for you. If you, in the second chapter, just read the whole chapter. It's not that long. The day of Pentecost, the Holy Ghost was given. Jesus was sitting with the 12 disciples, and then they started speaking other language. Now, here's the thing about it: if you read that carefully, they actually list the cultures, the countries, and I think Asia was even mentioned. It wasn't that they were just babbling. They actually were, according to the book of Acts, they were actually speaking other languages. That's where the speaking in tongues the reference came from. That is how you ever really see that read from the Bible. You don't read that anymore. But somehow, and this I had to get some experts on this one. Somehow, a lot of denominations hooked on that, including my dad's church from the South, American South, in Birmingham, Alabama. And somehow they latched onto that one chapter, and then they focused the whole doctrine as a church around it. And so that's where you get all these people doing the babbling, as you call it, Curtis, because it's the book of Acts, and that's the day where God basically downloaded himself into the human beings. Instead of just the laws on some clay tablets in the Jewish faith, we're now uploading the faith of God himself into us. That's basically, and it was symbolism, supposedly.
Yes.
And you guys still there?
Yes.
You guys still there?
We're all clones, man. We're all clones.
You could be a preacher.
Okay, so I was getting a call and I had to hang up. I'm sorry.
No, great stuff. Keep going.
That's basically what it's called, speaking in tongues amongst Pentecostals. Other people, they'll call it something else. But that's that's the gist of it, of why you hear a lot of fundamentalist Christians when they do that. And it basically started in Los Angeles in the early 1900s.
Yeah, and it's just like Babel. Like the word Babel actually goes back to...
Right, exactly.
It's glossalia, that's what it's called.
To Babel, the Tower of Babel. And it's a lot of Babel.
Right.
Well, when Peter spoke to the crowd, I know what you're talking about in Acts 2. He spoke to the crowd. Now, Peter spoke his own language, but there were, I don't know all the languages, we would say today, there were German, there were Spanish, there were Vietnamese or Chinese, all out in the audience, and as Peter spoke his own language, they understood him in their language. That it was like right that moment that the Lord reversed the Tower of Babel there, where everybody understood. He didn't have to blah, 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 blah to them. He spoke his own language, Peter did. And they, with all the different languages in the audience, knew what he was saying. It was just a magical time.
It's not that simple, because I remember my late father, he was the pastor of the church. He actually, like you, Curtis, even as a Pentecostal pastor, my father didn't believe in that. which was surprising to me. You think he would. But to him, he saw it like, no, those are not real languages. They're just making gibberish and, frankly, raising money. That's how my late father used to see it. My mother, she disagreed with him. She's still around. She's still here. And she still sees it that, a person can't go to heaven. At some point, you're going to have to speak in tongues as she sees it.
That they call it praying in the Spirit, where it's between you and God. They call it praying in the blah, 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 and it does that. But my praying in the Spirit with my Lord, I'm one-on-one with my Lord, where I don't belong to any church. It's He and I personal. But what He's let me know, what praying in the Spirit, where it's one-on-one with my Lord, is when I pray silently. I can pray like right now on a 3, 2, 1. I just prayed to my Lord. You have no idea what I prayed in my mind. When you pray silently, when you're laying at night, sleep, and nobody, you try being silent for a while. All the bullies will come up to you and say, "Hey, what?" I remember that. You praying, talking to your Lord in your spirit.